You're looking down on the turning base on the port of Miami, and that's the cigarette racing team coming by there. We're the big ship at the top right there. Yes, guys, make the turn. Thank you very much. That's pretty. That's pretty. Pictures coming from Jim McCullough up top of WSBN, and the guys coming by us on the starboard side. That is pretty, isn't it?
Really spectacular.
Welcome back aboard. We have been cruising all this week, and in just a few moments, we're going to be joined by Mr. John Palmer. Willard's been wondering all morning, how come we bring John down here and don't put him to work? Well, John Palmer is getting set to work. Mr. Palmer, what is that you're about?
Well, we're going to do a little underwater diving for you and be talking with a diving expert and his assistant, and we'll be under the water right here on the pool deck.
Does that include you, or is that just a costume for the moment?
I might be talked into it a little bit later.
This I gotta see.
We call him John Cousteau.
Meantime, it's a little warm here above water.
Thank you, John. Don't pad the park. Jay?
And I'm going to be playing a little of the genteel game of croquet, which is about as genteel as a shark at feeding time.
The number of scuba divers in this country has doubled in the last few years to almost 2 million, and still growing. One scuba enthusiast, one who's sweating right now, is our very own John Palmer. How much of this you've done?
I did a lot when I was in college. I had a pair of tanks. This is so much more sophisticated, though, than I used to do. But I used to dive off the coast here of Daytona and Miami, going down to reefs no deeper, really, than 35 or 40 feet.
You're burning up right now.
It's a little. I like to get in the water.
All right, I'll let you go. Let me. There are a lot of beautiful reefs to dive in this part of the world. We decided to take our underwater camera to waters off the coast of Nassau. Here's some of the tape we shot. The fun of scuba diving is partly physical because you move like an astronaut. In space with little effort, but the real attraction is the sheer beauty and diversity of the world below. Diving's easier and more comfortable than it was years ago, and it's safe if you're well instructed. The greatest danger might be sunburn above water, but there is a requirement. You do have to know how to swim. Most sport diving takes place less than 100 feet down, where sunlight easily reaches the corals and fish life. It's not a hostile environment. In fact, divers are welcome, but only as visitors. One of the challenges of diving is learning to live within the rules of respect for the deep. Just outside the pool with me now is one of the world's most renowned divers. He is Neil Watson, not only an expert scuba diver, but you also hold the world's records for what, depth and distance?
For scuba diving depth record with compressed air and the distance, yes.
All right, you want to tell me what those are?
The depth record is 437 feet and 1 inch on compressed air, and the distance record is 66 miles underwater.
Ouch. For you, what's the lure of it? What's the attraction?
The beauty of diving is total weightlessness, the freedom. There's so many sports that are competitive, and it's not competitive. You're not out to win anything. It's just the sheer beauty, the weightlessness of diving.
Palmer looks a little bit like my 3-year-old daughter in this pool. Who's the ideal candidate for diving?
The ideal, contrary to a lot of popular beliefs, the diver now can range anywhere from 12 to 112. The misconception is that the diver is the macho guy that can run 5 miles down the beach with his gear on. It's absolutely not. With today's technology and the new equipment and the new training methods of diving, absolutely anybody can learn to dive.
The danger that does exist, where does it come from? Here again, there's a misconception of the marine environment, which is the sharks. 35 years of diving, 25 in the sport diving business. I have yet to encounter one incident involving sport divers and sharks. Is it an expensive sport? I mean, Palmer had an awful lot of gear.
Well, not really. It's a one-time investment that'll last a lifetime if it's taken care of. So absolutely not. It's a safe sport, and it opens so many areas to go. There's dive resorts now throughout the world. There's pro diving facilities in almost every city in the United States now that you can learn diving.
Real quick, if somebody wants to learn, what do you suggest they do?
I suggest they go to the nearest pro dive shop, sign up with lessons, and get their certification.
All right. Neil Watson, thanks very much.
Right,
we flew Palmer all the way down for this, huh?
Yeah.
How's he doing?
He's doing pretty good.
He hadn't drowned yet. We'll come back in a moment, right after this.
difference.